might be wondering at this point why. That is, why do job enrichment and self-managing teams have positive outcomes? Here we need to turn to look at some of the theory underpinning work design. One of the most well-known theories is Hackman and Oldham's job characteristics model. This model proposes 5 core job characteristics. 3 we've already discussed: skill variety, job autonomy, and task identity. The remaining 2 are feedback from the job and task significance. Feedback means finding out how you are doing as you carry out the work. This is a bit different to getting annual performance feedback in your performance appraisal from a leader about, for example, your strengths and weaknesses. It's more about the day-to-day feedback you get when you're doing your work. As a nurse, for example, you might receive feedback from the families of patients about how you are doing. Sometimes jobs are poorly designed, such that only the manager gets to hear about your performance. Task significance refers to whether the job feels like it has impact or makes a difference. For example, if you're a surf lifesaver and you see that your work is important in saving children from drowning, you will experience a high level of task significance. The model proposes that these 5 core job characteristics promote 3 critical psychological states. In other words, if your job has these characteristics, you will feel your work is meaningful, you will have ownership over the outcomes of your work, and you will have a sense of progress. These feelings then result in higher intrinsic motivation and job satisfaction. And when you're more motivated and satisfied, you're likely to work harder and try to do your best, so your performance is higher. Does everyone benefit from having an enriched job? Well, the research says no. Not everyone will want or need the same work design. People are different in their personality and abilities, as well as their age and gender and family responsibilities. All of these factors can shape what type of work design is best for someone. One criticism that's been made about the job characteristics model is that it's rather narrow. My research colleagues and I have argued we need to extend this model to make it more contemporary. We've argued there are important core job characteristics beyond the 5. For example, these days, many service jobs have emotional tasks, like dealing with dissatisfied customers. This means emotional job characteristics are important, even though they weren't in the original theory. Some of you might be thinking about your own jobs and wondering, why haven't we talked about the stressful aspects of work? Well, there's another important work design theory that focuses on designing healthy work. In 1979, Professor Robert Karasek argued that high job demands and a lack of job control, or job autonomy, cause feelings of stress. Intuitively, we know this is true, and the research bears it out. If you have a lot of demands in your job, such as high levels of time pressure or role overload, you're much more likely to experience work stress and even burnout. If you have low control, this too is negative for physical and mental health. Indeed, because of the stress they cause, high job demands and low control can even increase a person's risk of cardiovascular disease. The demand control model goes further. It proposes that greater control can buffer the negative effects of demands. In other words, high demands are okay for health as long as you also have high control. Under this situation, a so-called active job, you have the autonomy to master your tasks and engage in problem-focused coping, which means you will feel challenged and learn rather than experience stress. On the other hand, if you have a lot of demand but no control, or what's called a high-strain job, then the model argues this is the worst-case scenario for stress. Imagine a job in which angry customers return faulty products to the shop, and yet the shop employees don't have the authority to replace the product. That is going to feel very stressful. The job demands model has been extended in recent times because scholars have recognised that not all demands are bad for people. Scholars have also recognised that, as well as control, other aspects of work can help people cope with high demands, such as having social support. So these days, people talk about a job demands resources model to indicate that there are other resources beyond control that help people to deal with stressful work demands.